Good morning, everybody. We are going to wait 3 more minutes for people to join, and then we will get started with this session. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jessica Barrett, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Rachel Martin, and we are coming to talk to you about the expansion of the Indiana College Core. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm trying to advance my slides, and there we go. All right, so we can't talk about the Indiana College Core without first talking about the foundation of transfer that we have in Indiana. A lot of it is backed in legislation, and it all kind of fits together with the Indiana College Core. So today we're going to focus obviously on the dual credit aspect of the Indiana College Core with the expansion across the state. But I want to also touch upon the credit for prior learning initiatives that we have in Indiana. We have robust legislation and initiatives around AP, CLEP, and the International Baccalaureate, Cambridge International. We also at the commission have a lot of initiatives going on around credit for prior learning, specifically military credit right now. And then one of the other things that we're going to touch on today is the core transfer library. That's a set of 88 courses that transfer seamlessly from all public institutions to one another. We also have 6 or 8 private institutions that are on there. I always lose track. We're onboarding a couple more. And then today we're going to focus on the block transfer, the Indiana College Core. And then after the Indiana College Core, I always like to mention TSAPs in case you're not familiar with those. Those are the transfer single articulation pathways. There are 2+2 associate to baccalaureate pathways that have been established. We now have 23. So seamless transfer from a 2-year institution to a 4-year institution in those 23 different pathways. And you can read about all of these different initiatives on our transferin.net website if you want to learn more about those. All right, so why offer the Indiana College Core? We're going to start there. All right, so research has shown, and we know that there are a lot of reasons that a student might want to earn the Indiana College Core. And today we're going to specifically focus on students who earn that through dual credit in high school. So one of the things that we like to tell students is that it can help save you time to graduation. It can help you get ahead on your coursework. We know that some students, when they're completing their 15 hours. If you complete 30 hours in high school, you're going to have a little more cushion when you get to post-secondary to work with. It can help reduce stress and increase your confidence if you're able to go ahead and complete college courses while you're in high school. A lot of students now have to graduate with an internship opportunity. So this allows students to have more time to do that internship. And then get involved in campus things, join campus organizations, and do immersive learning experiences. And then one of the biggest selling points that we know for students and for their families is that it can save you a lot of money. A lot of dual credit right now is free. And so you can earn that in high school and save yourself some money. All right, so some of the research shows recently, so we always do research at the commission and we have completion. Um, hold on just a second. Sorry. I'm getting some background noise. We have some completion metrics that we look at the commission. And our most recent data shows that 92% of students who earned the Indiana College Core in high school went on to attend a post-secondary institution. That is far above their peers who did not earn the Indiana College Core. And then the metric that I like the most is that, most importantly, students show persistence when they get to college. So of those 92%, 70% of those ICC earners stay in college and persist to their second year. They complete all courses that they attempt in their first year of college, and they don't require remediation. So all three of those metrics. So we know that Indiana College Core high school earners go on to be successful. Right now, we have all of secondary institutions except for all of our public post-secondary institutions except for Purdue West Lafayette. They do not do dual credit in high school, and Purdue Global, because they're an adult-focused education center. So all of the rest of the public institutions that you see listed here are awarding the Indiana College Core in high school. And at the last count, which was a few days ago, we have 283 of our 500 plus high schools that are now awarding the Indiana College Core. Just a few years ago, we were at 84 high schools. And so the commission has made a concerted effort to expand the Indiana College Core. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So right now we're at 283, and I always put "and counting" on this slide because every day, every week, we are getting more partnerships that are recognized with the ICC. All right, and count, which was, I'm proud to say, this week, we now have 7 independent institutions that accept the Indiana College Core. So just for your reference, all public institutions accept the Indiana College Core. That's in legislation. But our private institutions, our ICI independent institutions, can choose to accept it. And so we've had a lot of conversations over the last year with our independent partners, and they know that as the Indiana College Core expands to all high schools in Indiana, that they're going to start seeing more students come into their institutions with the Indiana College Core, and they want to honor that credit that students have earned. So just as recently as Monday, Franklin College has become the 7th private institution to accept the Indiana College Core, with the other 6 that you see here on this slide. We are going to dive deep into the web today, the My Core website, and all of these, all of the information you see here can also be found on that website. All right, so if you are a high school and you would like to start offering the Indiana College Core and you really don't know where to begin, our website has steps that you can take to offer the Indiana College Core. So you need to start with discussions with a primary provider. We call that the primary post-secondary provider. So you need to start looking at who offers dual credit in your high school. Are you already partnered with a couple of institutions? And that's where we always say start conversations with those partners that you already have. Those partners can help you determine gaps that you would have in course availability, decide how you can credential your teachers. And what kind of opportunities can you leverage, such as dual enrollment? We've also heard a lot of conversations are happening around the state with high schools that are possibly going to partner for teacher sharing with one another. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can go about this, but in all of these steps are laid out on our website. And then there is criteria to become a delivery site of the Indiana College Core in high school. Basically, that criteria is you have to partner with the post-secondary to award the certificate to your students. And then you have to put some things on your website, some of the information that we have on our website. And then you have to work with your students to file their FAFSA. When you've done all of those conversations, then you go on and you sign an MOU with a primary partner, and then they kind of guide you through that process. Then it comes to our office, and then we put you on the My College Core tool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the expansion over the last year of the Indiana College Core. I'm sure many of you on this call today, I know I have a lot of familiar faces. You're very familiar with the Senate Enrolled Act 8 that was passed earlier this year that said that beginning in 2024, that all schools must offer the Indiana College Core, or they need to submit an implementation plan for when they are going to offer the Indiana College Core. So back in May, our office sent a survey to every high school, so every private public high school in Indiana about this, about Senate Enrolled Act 8. And the results of that survey were due on October 1st. And we just asked these questions. Do you offer the Indiana College Core? Are you going to plan to offer it? What barriers do you have to offering the Indiana College Core? So right now we are in the middle of reviewing those surveys because, as you can imagine, there's over 500 high schools. So that means over 500 survey results and kind of disseminating where we go from here. We really wanted to see, the purpose of this survey was to see if schools were close to being able to offer the Indiana College Core, and was there a way that we could come in and support those efforts. And then if there are barriers to offering the Indiana College Core, we need to know about those so that we can address those from the state level. One of the things that if you're in the high school audience, and even some of our post-secondaries, you might not realize that there are now academic performance grants that will incentivize schools and corporations for dual credit and for credential completion. So listed here, it says $40 per dual credit earned by each student. So you can earn up to $1,200 per student. If one of your students is to complete the Indiana College Core, your school corporation can earn $1,500. And if a student completes an associate degree while at your high school, that you can earn $2,500. So I don't have a ton of information on that. This is the Department of Education, but I always like to mention this. So the Department of Education has an Office of School Finance, and they are the ones that distribute these funds to schools. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to us and we can connect you with the Department of Education to answer those questions. All right, so let's dive into why we're all here today, and we're going to talk about the Indiana College Core, what it looks like, and how to, go about implementing it at your high school, or if you're a post-secondary partner, how you can partner with a high school to do that. So at its foundation, the Indiana College Core started as a 2012 mandate through legislation. So there's legislation already to support transfer in Indiana. The core transfer library was in legislation. We have a statewide transfer and articulation committee that works on all of these transfer things in our state. That was actually founded almost 25 years ago. So out of that committee, it was decided in conjunction with all of our public institutions that there needed to be some sort of block transfer. And this started as a tool for students who went to a community college to earn meaningful credit and to be able to transfer that to a four-year institution. So for the last several years, Ivy Tech and Vincennes have been offering the Indiana College Core in high school. And now all of our four-year partners, except the two that I mentioned earlier, are now offering that as a credential in high school. So that just started a little over a year ago. But the Indiana College Core has been around for a very long time. So at its core, it's a block of 30 hours of general education credit that can be transferred seamlessly from all Indiana public institutions. And now, like I told you, some private institutions. It is based on competencies, not courses. So this is a question that we get a lot at the commission and when we're out talking to audiences. Why don't all Indiana College cores look the same? Why aren't there the same courses at IU that they're at Purdue Northwest as at Ivy Tech? It's because it's based on competencies. Now, a lot of those courses are going to be derived from the core transfer library. We are trying to scale that back so that even more of them are derived from the core transfer library, but they're based on these competencies you see here. So we've got your 3 foundational intellectual skills. That's your written communication, speaking and listening, quantitative reasoning. And then we have 3 ways of knowing: scientific, social and behavioral, and humanistic and artistic. And so on this pie chart you see here, it shows that you have to have 3 credits in each of those 6 competency areas. And then the awarder, so the primary post-secondary provider, decides the distribution of the remaining credits. So one institution might require that you have more scientific ways of knowing, and another one might value quantitative reasoning a little bit more. So there is some flexibility in how the ICC is set up. So do not be confused of why are some of the courses different from institution to institution. That's because it's based on competencies. All right. So like I said, there's the distribution of credits. Something I have not mentioned is that 15 of the credit hours must be from the primary post-secondary provider. So that's what we call a residency requirement. So I often get questions of, well, we're a full AP school. Why can't we have our Indiana College Core all made up of AP? Well, it's because in order to issue that credential, an institution has to say that they've taught some of those credits. So it's half. So it's 15 of the credit hours have to come from your primary post-secondary provider. To earn the ICC, a student must have a GPA of 2.0 in those courses that they've completed for the Indiana College course. So those dual credit courses that apply directly to the ICC, your GPA has to be a 2.0 for those courses. High schools can absolutely use AP, CLEP, and IB as part of the Indiana College Core. That's something that has to be worked out between the high school and the primary post-secondary provider. If you have teachers that teach AP US History and you'd rather use that than a dual credit US History, that's something that you work out with your primary partner. And then I always like to say that this is part of the ICC. Just because you complete it in high school does not mean that you're guaranteed admission to an institution and or a degree program. All right, so like I said, you can absolutely use AP. We like to talk a little bit about how AP works, so that there's, you have to if you're familiar with how AP works, you have to earn a minimum of 3 on an AP exam to earn credit that applies toward the ICC. Just like the courses are different, the equivalencies for AP are different from institution to institution. So what IU Bloomington gives for a 3 might be different than what Ivy Tech gives for a 3. So a student if they earn the ICC from an institution, and a 3 counts for meaningful credit and it applies toward the ICC, then they're still going to get that 30 credit hour block. But when they take their 30 credit hour block to an institution, they don't necessarily get that same course credit at the institution that's receiving the ICC. And I know that can be confusing. They're still going to have that 30 credit hour block and it's still going to apply to their degree requirements. But if, let's say I take AP US or AP Calculus and I earn a 3, it might get me credit from this institution, but when I go to institution B, they might look at that and say, we're not giving actual course credit for that. So that can be very confusing. You can read more about that on our website, but I always like to say that students need to be advised that they have different requirements. And our slides will be linked, and this is an AP equivalency database that the commission keeps track of. These are the absolute up-to-date equivalencies from all of our public, and actually all of the privates are on there as of a few months ago. So when an institution updates their AP equivalencies, they send them to our office and we put this on this frontward facing database. So a student will know if they're going to a certain institution, that's the credit they're going to get for that AP exam. All right, so we're going to transition, and I'm going to transition to my colleague, Rachel, who is going to kind of set the stage for us with our website, the Indiana College Core. And I'm just going to say a little blurb before I hand it over to Rachel. When we were working on the expansion of the core a few years ago, we knew that we had all of this rich data. Like I just mentioned, the AP database, we have a CLEP database, we have the core transfer library, which is also a database on our website. And we knew that all of this fed into the Indiana College Core, but there was not one place on the commission's website or anywhere else that a student or a parent could go to find this information. So over the last couple of years, we worked on building this website and planning tool, which we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to hand it over to Rachel to kind of set the stage, and then I'll go through the website, and then she'll take us through the planning tool.
Great, thanks, Jessica. So as she mentioned, this tool has not been in existence for a while. It was launched a little over a year ago on August 1st of 2023. We were checking out some metrics the other day and realized that we've hit over 100,000 views to the tool already, which is great. So I'm sure in the coming years that will increase as well. We kind of created this tool and website to be a one-stop shop for all things Indiana College Core. There's some things on there for counselors, for parents, for stakeholders, and obviously for students. This tool shows not only the dual credit coursework that is offered through their high school, but also the dual enrollment courses that are offered, and the AP and CLEP courses that are offered at their school as well. If your student is to create an account, they can save their plans and email their plans to their parents and counselors, and we will see that in a little bit in the live navigation. And just kind of a little caveat, this is meant to be for planning purposes and is not an official scheduling tool or a transcript, but it is certainly a great tool for students to use to kind of develop their plans for the future. So I guess one other thing that Jessica will show you in a second is that there are a bunch of built-in resources for high schools specifically, such as posters, presentations, and other things that revolve around the Indiana College Core that can be disseminated to parents, students, or other stakeholders that may need to know information. So with that, I'll turn it back to Jessica to do kind of a high-level overview of the tool.
Thank you. Rachel and I are actually sitting right by each other, so we have to like do the muting, and sometimes I get ahead of myself. So thanks, Rachel. So here is the landing page of the My College Core website. It's mycollegecore.org is the web address. And like Rachel said, it's only been in existence for a little over a year, but it has gotten a lot of traction. And I was presenting yesterday to a group of admissions advisors and transfer people across the state. And they asked me, how do students know about this? And right now it's really word of mouth. And we rely on our post-secondary providers when they are working with a high school to talk about this website. They are the ones, when Rachel takes you through the tool and shows you the courses, the primary post-secondary providers are the ones that load those courses onto the website. So right now, it's really just an organic effort from our unit at the commission, and then we rely on other stakeholders to talk about it. So there hasn't been like this huge marketing campaign around it, but so we're really proud of the traction that it has gotten, and we get really good feedback from it. So at its heart, it's a website that's directed towards students and families. Like I said, we wanted it to be a one-stop shop. We wanted all of the resources that a student would need to know, how do I earn the core? What's the big deal? To be right here for them. So we've made it really student friendly. That's why this doesn't look like a commission website. It doesn't look like a government website because it's directed at high school students and their families. So it has 3 parts really. Has the about, what is it, and that has the pie chart, and there's a video of what the Indiana College Core is, why should I earn it, how to earn it, and then I always like to show the where can I earn it page. This is if you are sitting at a high school right now and you're not sure how you're going to offer the Indiana College Core, and you would like to see high schools maybe in your area or with a similar size, you can search this map and you can search by primary provider, you can search by school district, you can type in the name of a high school, and it will take you to that you'll be able to see if they are partnered with somebody. And then you can take that information and go to the planning tool and see what courses they're offering at the high school. So there are no restrictions. You don't have to have an account to get into this. We wanted to make it as user-friendly as possible, but like Rachel said, if you create an account, there are certain things that you can do above and beyond just looking at plans. We have a lot of student resources. We know that in higher ed, we speak a much different language than even our high school population, but especially our high school students. So we have a glossary of terms on here. We have frequently asked questions. We're always adding to that based on conversations that we have with our partners and stakeholders across the state. Like I said, there's AP and CLEP information. There's a link on this page, and I'll just go there. One of the questions I got yesterday, which I get all of the time, is how do students know they have to send their AP scores to the primary post-secondary provider? Well, we have that messaging all over this tool, especially when a student creates a plan, we tell them that. But there are links, send your exam scores, because we know that a student, if they've taken an AP or a CLEP exam, has to request those scores be sent so that they can get credit from the post-secondary institution. So this is a link right to the College Board website where a student can do that and create an account if they don't already have one. The other thing that I like to show here is that there's a dual credit and AP catalog. This is I really created it for students, but I find that a lot of our high school audience is using it. So for example, if I'm a high school and I know I have some dual credit in my high school, but I don't really know what Ball State, for example, is counting for their Indiana College Core, here is where you can find that information. So you can filter this by course name, you can filter it by competency area, you can filter it by provider, and you can download that straight from here. We are actually getting ready to do a full-scale update of this catalog in the next week or so. And so some of the information will be updated, but it's 95% the same. Just some of our primary partners have added courses to their ICC over the last year. So like I said, you can copy this, you can download it as a CSV or Excel file to kind of see what's out there and what everybody's ICC looks like. Same thing for AP courses. So this toggles between dual credit and AP. And then Rachel mentioned that we have the school resources. So this is a tab that I just recently broke out because the fun fact, all of this stuff lives down here in the toolkit for high schools, but we kind of buried it because This is a website that really, at its heart, is directed at students, but there are tons of resources for high schools, especially my favorite population, which is the high school counselor. And so we wanted to make it more easily accessible. So we just about a month ago broke this tab out into school resources. And so it has these different areas. The first one is how to offer the ICC. And I'm getting my website's being a little bit slow, so forgive me if I say something and it doesn't immediately pop up. But here's that criteria I referenced. Here's the interest form if you need more information. And there's a bunch of different templates and resources that you can click through here. We are in consultation with the chief academic officer here the other day. We decided we are going to update these dates a little bit because when we first started signing schools up to offer the Indiana College Core, we were doing it by cohorts. But now this is such a fluid process that you can start, you can sign up tomorrow to offer the Indiana College Core. If you've had those conversations with a primary partner, you can go ahead and get started on this process. So it doesn't have to be in that fall, summer time frame. So we are going to update the little references to the time. The other thing I really wanted to make sure, and I'm trying to be cognizant of the time that I hit on, is just recently, and I mentioned the STAT committee, the Statewide Transfer and Articulation Committee. Over the last year, there was a subset, like a subcommittee of that, and we met because one of the needs that we were made aware of through this whole expansion process is that there's a lot that high school counselors have to do, and there's a lot of information, and to expect them to know all of the nuances about the ICC was just unrealistic. So we wanted to have them have a resource that they could keep, print out. This is a downloadable PDF that we have created with our primary post-secondary partners, information that they want high school counselors to know in an easily digestible format. It's divided into 4 different sections. We thought it would be like a front and back of a page. It ends up, it's about 12 pages. And then there are contacts. The coolest thing is that there are contacts for each institution that offer, that accepts the ICC. If you have questions or issues, that you can contact that person on that campus. That was something that I heard from high school counselors. Well, if I have a question, I don't know where to go to on that campus. And, it's hard to get through to certain people. So we tried to address that need by including that in this resource guide. So if you are a high school audience, or even if you're on a campus, a college campus, I would encourage you to download this and read over it because this has been vetted through our primary post-secondary partners, and now through it went out to high school counselors before it was published. Lastly, there are several things, like Rachel said, there are PowerPoint presentations, there are handouts in both English and Spanish that you can download, and you can give at 8th grade informational nights. When you have parents coming to the high school to learn about what dual credit opportunities you have, there's a handout that talks about why the ICC and promotes it, and just makes it easily digestible for parents. There are files that you can use, and all of this stuff is free. So please feel free to peruse through that. We do have an inbox at the commission, and if Rachel, will you put that address in? So if you have any questions, please reach out to the inbox. It's icc@che.in.gov, and Rachel's going to drop that in the chat. And if there's something, I always say, if there's something that you think is missing, please let us know, and we can definitely work on getting that resource made for you. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and let Rachel share, because she's going to lead us through what we call the meat and potatoes of this website, which is the planning tool.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're going to take some time and dive into this. I just want to give a caveat and say you could probably spend hours digging through the create your plan section, but I'm going to try to do it in a relatively short manner so that we don't go over time. So this is kind of the home page, the landing page, and we wanted the plan to be kind of the forefront of the website for students. So I'm going to go ahead and click create your plan. On here, I just want to point out a couple things. First, you'll see on the right side, we have the option to log in or create an account. As we mentioned earlier, you need to create an account as a student to be able to do certain things, which we'll see in a minute, but it essentially is giving them the ability to save the plan or to share the plan with a parent or a counselor or other important people in their life. So you can go ahead and click sign up and create an account. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in just so you can see some of the plans I've saved. Whether you have an account or not, you are still able to utilize the tool. You're able to search via high school and look at the courses that are available. But again, creating an account does make it a lot easier for you to share your plan with others and to save your plan for the future. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple different options. We'll start with Ben Davis High School. All right, so you can go ahead and select your high school. As you saw, when you start typing in the school, there's a drop down, so you can easily click on that. First, I'm going to check and make sure my high school is correct, Ben Davis, and then here you'll also see what institution your high school is partnering with as the primary partner. So they are partnered with Indiana University Bloomington. It kind of gives up what you need to put into each competency area, as well as how many credits you need to come from the primary post-secondary partner in order to be awarded the certificate. You will always see the Add Core Plan name here, but you'll only be able to save it if you are logged in. Similarly, if you check this Share this plan with my counselor button, you'll be able to share it with your counselor and they'll be able to pull it up should your students have meetings with you one-on-one, or they also are able to send it out via email to parents and other people. So as we see here, there are the 6 different competency areas like Jessica mentioned, and we'll go ahead and expand one. As you can see on the right here, there are some tiles that showcase how many credits have been selected and completed. That will be important later, but I just want to give a kind of high-level overview, and then we'll dig into what the plans actually look like once your students have started digging in and completing them. So you'll be able to see in each competency area what courses are available at your school, and notice that there are dual credit courses, but there are also AP, there are some CLEP courses as well as dual enrollment. So whatever's offered at your school will be individualized to what you see in the tool. When you go ahead and check one, you'll notice that this tile over here on the right, the credits selected, will go up. And you'll notice that the credits completed did not increase because we did not say that we completed the course yet. So it is a planning tool, a pre-planning tool, and a tool for your students to use as they are completing their courses actively. And you'll notice if I switch it to no, that it will go back to the 0 credits. Let's go ahead and check out some of my plans that I've created just so you can kind of see the end goal. So we'll go to Ben Davis. Okay, and as you can see here, there are now more credits selected because I've selected specific courses from the 6 competency areas. You'll notice that these are grayed out. They will turn green once you hit the required amount of credits, and we'll see that in just a second. So let's scroll down here. Okay. As you can see here, we only have 14 credits from IUB, and if we recall from up here and in a lot of the guidance that we have, you have to have 15 credits from your primary post-secondary provider in order to be awarded this certificate. So let's go ahead and go down here and select a few that will help us to hit that number. So we're getting closer. As you can see, here we go. So when your student hits the required amount of credits and courses in each section, it will turn from this orange exclamation point into this green check mark, which is, I think, an important visual for students who might be visual learners like me. So we'll go ahead and we'll add a few more courses in here just to hit our required numbers. And let's go ahead and throw psychology in there. Okay. So you'll see here that now we have hit our 30 out of 30 credits complete for the ICC, and we also have 17 from IUB, which does hit the required amount. I want to dig into a different plan because there's kind of another option that we have that digs further into the transfer availability within the state. So as you remember from when we just looked at Ben Davis, there was only two fields up here. We had the high school and then the primary partner institution. If your high school is one that is partnering with Vincennes University or Ivy Tech, you will also see this pathway option, which is a great way for students to kind of get a head start and plan even further into their careers if they would like to go to one of those two schools, and they're able to go ahead and select a pathway. This link will take you to the Ivy Tech catalog to see all the courses that are required. But we wanted to make this tool really, really user-friendly and really forward-thinking for the students. So I went ahead and selected Criminal Justice TSAP, and the primary partner is Ivy Tech. And you can see here I've already hit both of my target goals. So say I were to complete all these courses, I would be able to get the ICC certificate from my school. The one thing that is different for schools that have primary partners of Ivy Tech or Vincennes that when you see the pathway section is that the courses that are a part of the TSAP degrees are actually highlighted in yellow. So students will not only be able to see what courses they need to take for the ICC, but they will also be able to see how those will transfer into their TSAP. So there we go. As you can see, there are some that don't necessarily transfer directly, but they are still listed. So regardless of if your school is partnering with of Ivy Tech, Vincennes, or others, you're still able to utilize the tool the same way. But this kind of robust feature with the TSAP pathways, I think, is really helpful for students for planning in the future. I want to go ahead and go to a different view just so you can see something else that I think is very useful. So we're in the edit section, which is where students are able to go in and check things, yes and no, for completions. But if you click view, you'll be able to kind of see I think of it as like the PDF version, right? Like the version where you can't edit, just the view version. And you're able to see essentially all of the same things that you were able to see in the edit version. But this is just a little bit more of a cleaned up way that you can download and keep or print and share it with others. The part that I think is really important is this button that says, where do you want to go to college? So you're actually able to select any of these colleges that you see here. There's publics, there are privates, and you're able to click on one and see how those courses will transfer and if they will transfer super seamlessly. So you can see here I have a couple errors, so we'll go down and look at the key. It says no CTL course transfer. So these courses might transfer to those institutions, but they're not necessarily going to transfer super seamlessly as they're not part of the CTL. So if you have students who are looking at this view, you'll just have to let them know that they'll need to work with the institution that they're planning to attend to get those transfer credits sorted out. We'll go back here real quick. And I'll just show you one or two other things, and then we'll keep moving on because we have a lot to talk about. As I mentioned earlier, you can share the plan with your counselor. You can also name it. So I went ahead and named this, well, I'll change it since I changed my TSAP, Criminal Justice TSAP. So say I'm a student and I'm planning to complete all of these courses, and I also would like to go into criminal justice in the TSAP program, and I want to share it with my counselor to make sure that everything is good to go. I'll go ahead and check that, and that will send it to the counselors should they be registered to be a counselor on the My College Core tool. You're also able to share this plan. You can put in a message and send it to maybe parents or siblings if you would like to help them out, or other people that are important in your life. And then again, you're able to save the plan. And as I mentioned earlier, while you don't necessarily have to be logged in and create an account to utilize the tool, it is very, very helpful for you or your students in developing their plan because they're able to actually save it and go back and change it and update it as they go through their process in high school. I think that's all I have. Jessica, am I missing anything that you want to highlight?
Nope, sorry. I was just answering some questions in the chat. So I was trying to, I think Alex might be on. Alex, if you could, would you grab actually, I think I was going to ask to grab the data dashboards because somebody asked about completion rates. And then and then Barb said that some of her courses aren't on there. Yes, work with your primary post-secondary partner. They're the ones that are in charge of updating the website. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of piggyback on, we just have a few minutes, that Rachel said is she showed you that transfer tool. So all of that transfer tool, all of that information, that where do I want to go to college, all of that information comes from those rich databases that we have, the core transfer library, the AP, the CLEP. We already have all of those equivalencies. So if a student were to get the caution symbol when they put in like what institution they want to go to, and it shows that there's not a course to course transfer, that does not mean, and we've tried to make that clear on here, that does not mean that they're not going to accept that course, because what I probably didn't hit hard enough is this is a block transfer. So once you earn that 30 hours of general education credit, it's a credential. And somebody asked in the chat, well, what happens to that credential? What do they do with that certificate? If a student enrolls at one of our public institutions in Indiana, or one of those 7 privates, they're going to take that block of credits and they're going to apply it to their general education requirements at that institution. So one of the things I didn't hit on is that some of our institutions have a general education core at their university that's above 30 credits. I'm going to pick on Ball State because I know they're changing theirs. Right now, Ball State has a 39-hour general education core, and I think next year they're dropping it down to 30 to align with the Indiana College Core. But if I was a student that enrolled at Ball State with an ICC this year, I would still have had to take a financial literacy class. There was a history class that I would have to take, and that's not something that I would have completed through my ICC. One of our institutions has a 42-hour general education core. So a student's going to take that block of 30, but they're still going to have 12 extra credits that they have to complete that general education portion of their degree. So I hope that makes it more clear. But back to the course-to-course transfer. So it doesn't mean that those courses aren't going to transfer if they see that caution symbol. It just means that there's no worked out transferability between those courses. It's not part of the core transfer library or one of the AP score equivalencies. So I hope that and then Steven asked how many students have completed the ICC. So that's the data dashboard, and how many have set up plans to track progress. We have analytics, and I don't remember the number of plans. I'm sorry. We do have analytics dashboards that I'm actually going to have a presentation with our primary partners today to go through those analytics, a lot more than we had thought, really. Just based on the fact that it's only been a year. There are a lot of students that are making plans, but if you are at a high school that has an ICC provider, please encourage your students to make an account and click that button that Rachel showed you to share their plan, because a lot of students are making plans, but they haven't shared them with their counselor. So, Terry corrected me. I knew I was wrong. 6 credit. It was 36 credits, not 39. So anyway, if a student chooses to keep that plan private, then you can't see it if you're their counselor. They have to click that button. We wanted to make, because this is proprietary to them, there's no PPI on here or PII on here, but a student can create as many plans as they want. So just encourage them to check that, share this plan with my counselor if you are a counselor that wants to use those plans. And we didn't really dive into the counselor accounts today, but I did put the link in the chat. If you are a high school counselor and you want a counselor account, just use that link, and the commission will approve your account, and then you can have access to those plans. So I think we've run out of time. So please use the ICC inbox if you have further questions, and let us know how we can help you in this endeavor. Thanks so much.